In this lecture, we will learn about the onUpdate property. For the demonstration, we are creating a simple slider with a progress bar and the value of the range displayed below the progress bar. First, clear out the index.js file and go to index.html and remove the elements within the container div and remove the background also from the body tag. Let's add a range input with min value 0 and max value to 100. And set the initial value to 0 and give it a class called slider. Under the slider, create a div element with a class progress, and this will act as the progress bar which fills according to the range value. And finally, add a div element with class label. Now head over to style.css, and now we can add some style to the classes container, range, and progress. Inside the container class, I'm adding a width of 100% and a margin of 50 pixels and text align to the center. In the slider class, I'm giving it a width of 100% and margin bottom of 20 pixels. In the progress class, I'm adding height of 10 pixels and background color. You can choose whatever color you would like to add, and a width of 0. This will be changed later using the GSAP code. Oh, I forgot to add auto after the 50 pixels of margin, so that left and right of the elements in the container will be adjusted. Now that we added some basic style to the elements, go to the index.js and let's start adding some code. First, let's create 3 constants for storing those 3 elements: slider, progress, and label. We can add an event listener to the slider element that listens for the input event, which fires every time the value of the slider changes. Inside the event listener, we can use GSAP's to method to animate the width property of the progress element. So add progress as the first parameter. The width property of the to method determines the width of the element. We want the value of the width to be same as the slider's value. So use this dot value and then we concatenate it with the percentage. As you can see, I am using string template literal to concatenate the percentage with the dynamic value. Speaking about this value, this is referring to the value coming from the slider input. A width property we specified here is the same CSS property that we added to the progress class in the style.css. We also set the duration property to 0.2 to create a quick animation that smoothly updates the width of the progress bar as the value of the slider changes. Awesome, it works as expected. As you can see, the width of the progress bar is getting its value from the input range of the slider. Now let us change the label value dynamically on slider change. For this, we use the property onUpdate. The onUpdate property in GSAP is used to specify a function that should be called on each frame of the animation as it progresses. So in our case, we wanted to change the label text with the slider. When we move the slider, it will also update the label text. So we have already selected and stored the label in the label variable. We add an anonymous function inside, and we can use the label.textContent equals to template literal. We add math.round because we don't want float values, so it rounds to the nearest integer. And inside, we add a method of GSAP called getProperty to get the CSS property of the specified element. We will learn more about the GSAP methods later in this course. So in our case, we want the width of the progress element, so we add the progress and then the width. And finally, just add the percentage symbol. So now you can see that the label value changes as the slider moves. Each time an event is listened, the onUpdate property will also get triggered.